Josh Morrissey, over $2 billion in sales in the ACT market, 24 Suburb records, largest non-branded market share real estate agency in the ACT as well, and seen as the number one agent for luxe listings and prestige listings down in the ACT too, man. So you're 37 now, the drive's changed. Is the drive bigger? When are you going to stop going so hard?
So for me, I never knew my dad. Met him at Macca's, and I was like, hey, I'm your son. He's like, yeah, I know. So he just basically looked at me. He's like, didn't want a bar to do with me at all. And I just thought, fuck, I felt so unwanted. That flicked a switch in my head.
How do you turn that into a strength rather than looking at it as a weakness?
I just realized that you get so much learning from teaching. When you're mentoring people, you're teaching, you're speaking to people at these conferences and things, it actually forces you to go back into the toolbox and unpack what you've learned, look deep in there and see, holy shit, I've really done some stuff. And what can I go, for these thousands of people that are going to come and listen to me, what tools in this toolbox can I share with these guys so they can build what I've built, you know? And that's probably the most rewarding thing. Essentially, I've always adapted that mindset. So I'm adapting that mindset with innovation, integration, systemization. So once I compound that together, my business is going to go.
A lot of your success in what you've done to obviously those super high dollar value activities and then just getting rid of everything else that doesn't make sense.
100%. If you want to be a high dollar value operator, don't waste your time doing a product and tasks. And AI is going to systemize 80% of our workforce.
What do you believe is the most consistent character trait of the top 1%?
It's a relentless, ridiculous pursuit for
Josh Morrissey, the big dog from Hive Property, mate. Welcome to the Top 1% podcast.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Now, man, I met you probably around about 5 months ago, I think it was. We've obviously stayed connected since then. Obviously become good mates, man. Chat about everything about GC and property and everything else as well. But dude, you've got a super inspiring story. And I think what you've gone out and achieved specifically from like your very humble beginnings to now what you've built from a business perspective and obviously from a real estate portfolio perspective as well. Super, super inspiring, man. So I'm really excited to dive into your chat today.
Me too. Thanks for having us.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Dude, I want to run through your rap sheet, dude, because it was impressive when I was reading through it as well. Mate, over $2 billion in sales in the ACT market, 24 Suburb records, smashing one on average every 90 days.
Every 90 days.
That's wild, man. Largest non-branded market share real estate agency in the ACT as well. And seen as the number one agent for luxe listings and prestige listings down in the ACT too, man.
That's it.
Started the business from nothing, scaled to, it was 33 staff when we spoke a few weeks ago.
33. I think we're climbing. I think we're 35 to 36 now.
Okay, sweet.
And looking at double.
Beautiful, man, beautiful. And obviously you're in the GC for ARIC as well, the massive, obviously, real estate conference, the Australian Real Estate Conference in the Goldie, man, held every year. And you're presenting at that on Sunday as well, right?
Yeah.
How's that feel, man, getting the call up to that?
Mate, to be honest, it's surreal.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those pinch me moments. I think it is the best of the best that get up there on stage. And I was just laughing with the guys off camera with Kelly that I'm up there with Kamala Harris, Steve Bartlett from Diary of a CEO, and this guy from Canberra that sells houses. So one of these guys want to come and talk to me. So look, mate, it feels really good, and I'm excited to do it. I'm excited. It's a pinnacle point for me in my career because it solidifies what I've built with Sam, my wife, also another Sam. But it really solidifies that. It solidifies where I am. It solidifies, I guess, the point of my career where I'm going. And I think it's really being up there. It's actually really hammered home like what the future looks like. I think being able to, you would understand this too because you've got a large team, big business, but you get so much learning from teaching. When you actually, you're mentoring people, you're teaching, you're speaking to people at these conferences and things, it actually forces you to go back into the toolbox and unpack what you've learned. And you really get a really crystal clear vision on like what you've actually built and what you've actually got to offer other people. And then what's actually in that toolbox to then go out and multiply it and grow. So this whole process of getting ready for ARIC, it's just made me go back into the toolbox, look deep in there and see, holy shit, I've really done some stuff. And what can I go, for these thousands of people that are going to come and listen to me, what tools in this toolbox can I share with these guys so they can build what I've built, you know? And that's probably the most rewarding thing. I think we were talking in the car, we won't say how much, but it was a really nice house. Another car to pick up today. But there's points in your life where they're pinnacle points. Now the car, that's a compounding effect of you scraping and busting your ass for 20 years, right? And you get to pick up the keys today. It didn't just happen overnight. ARIC and these points in my business and in my life now where I'm getting a lot of gratitude, I'm getting a lot of fulfillment out of doing stuff like this. And I think it's really setting a path for me clearly, like we were talking in the car about, Josh, how many staff you got? 30 plus, 35. We're going to double in the next, 12 to 18 months. And ARIC, funnily enough, has been the tool that's actually allowed me to unpack and uncover exactly what the next path is going to look like. So there's going to be commercial growth out of that, fulfillment, obviously, the profile and all the other bits and pieces that come with it. But again, like I was just laughing, I'm just a kid from Canberra selling houses, So that's how I see it in my head. And you can't let ego get to your head either. I think you don't want to roll off that stage and think you're Brad Pitt. You're still the kid from Canberra that sells houses. You know what I mean? So I think as long as you stay humble, same with you, that's why we get along so well, 100%. Is because there's not a lot of people I know your age doing what you're doing, straight cat, with all of the successes and still humble. And like I admire that, and I think we're on similar paths, and that's why, I get a lot out of it. And plus the weather's really good. Got up, went for a swim. Now I'm going to go for a little sniff around, a little drive around, see if I can find a spot, because we're going to buy up here eventually as well. So
yeah, sweet, man. Yeah. That's awesome. Dude, I love it's a funny thing coming from my side. We were laughing about this in the car as well, about, a lot of people hold close to their chest kind of what they do. Man, in terms of unpacking what you're going to be doing at ARIC as well, like if you don't mind saying, putting it, obviously this is coming out after ARIC, but what is it that you're going to be presenting there?
So it's all about the effectiveness of time, compounding time, leveraging time, and like 10xing your hourly rate, and really just giving people like a framework to actually understand where they're being busy and where they're being productive. It's like an entrepreneur hack, like time boxing and time chunking and, prioritizing your diary, all that sort of stuff. But just mapping out for people, because what you see in real estate, you would see this, I'm sure, probably a lot of parallel problems and synergies we would have in our businesses being selling and buying agents. For sure. You can have $1 million, you can, and this is the biggest problem. You can see an agent running at like $1 million busy GCI pace. Like they're running, like they're always stressed. They're always busy. They're running at $1 million GCI pace, but they're actually transacting at a $200,000 GCI pace because they're just not efficient with their time. And, so the presentation, it really is just about how to unpack that, how to synergize that, and how to make the most out of your time and how to actually understand how to use your time correctly. It's an entrepreneur hack. It's like the best entrepreneurs and CEOs and leaders in the world are the best at leveraging their time because they understand their commercial value. And if you ask most buyers agents, most real estate agents, they probably couldn't even tell you what their hourly rate is. They probably couldn't. And probably didn't even know how to work it out. You know what I mean? So that, and I guess, I don't see a lot of value in me getting up on stage telling someone how, some scripts and dialogue to list property. I'm not going to tell them how to suck eggs. They know how to do that. I think when you look at the core metrics of what these people are, they're actually all just mini businesses, right? Same with your guys. For sure. They're self-sufficient. We were talking about this in the car, the mini businesses. So I think the way I treat information and the way I've been able to scale my business, scale my people, and for them to scale their business is just to treat the information that I give to them like very commercially. So it's like getting them to think like a business. Like getting those agents to actually treat their time like a business, because if you don't respect your time, people won't respect your time. And that's that's pretty much my whole ethos. That's kind of how I built my business. That's a big attraction model for our company because our retention rate is so high. Like our attrition is 0. We've never lost an agent.
Really?
Never.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask you, actually.
A lot of admin. Lost a lot of admin. Lost a lot of admin, a lot of PMs. It's a different role.
Yeah, it's a different game.
But the quarterbacks, like we've never lost one. We lost one to the Sunshine Coast. Stevie actually just texted me. He's just moved up for the weather. But
you can't blame someone moving location.
No, I get it. But we never lost anyone because of that. And I think too, like top-down management, we were talking in the car too about you being more high touch, with the volume of your business and how impactful it is that 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour of your time is to your guys. Because an hour of your time, they probably get a month's worth of value out of that, being cognizant. So the presentations really just get around that and just some little tips and tricks and one-liners and bits and pieces. It's good.
One-liners.
Yeah, I'll send you the video.
That sounds good, man. Sounds good. Dude, I think it's crazy, dude. Like even like reflecting on that piece of, like you said there, man, unpacking what you've done. And so often, like, you don't really think about it until you have a good look back in the rearview mirror and assess what you've gone through and built as well.
100%.
And so you would, put most of your, or a lot of your success in what you've done to obviously those super high dollar value activities, and then just getting rid of everything else that doesn't make sense outside
100%.
of that.
And if you want to be a high dollar value operator, don't waste your time doing non-dollar productive tasks. And AI is going to systemize 80% of our workforce. It really will. Yeah,
for sure.
So, and I think the rule of metric is, if it can systemize 80% of your business, you halve that, and that in parallel. So if it's 80% systemizing your business, that's about 40% in correlation to your revenue. So you knock out 80%, you're going to get 40% parallel injection of revenue. You know what I mean? Because obviously those tasks are never equal. Like an admin task, not the same as a listing task. That's why you halve it. And I think too, having a really clear understanding. I think it's really interesting, right? You talk to business owners at the moment, and we'll unpack this at lunch if we go for a feed, but it's interesting to see where the appetite is for people to actually get on board with AI and offshore and all this sort of stuff. Because the reality of it is AI is going to take your job. It's going to take a lot of jobs, like the marketing guys that I used to go and pay 150 grand to do a brand. I just did one the other day off, I think it was Frank's brother, sent me a prompt, and I just built one in 20 minutes.
No way.
That would have cost me 100 grand.
Really?
2 years ago.
Hectic.
That is how effective it is, and the same with an accountant. Like you can set up an AI agent like an accountant that can be like having 1 million accountants, so they're going to be better than the guy you're paying 600. You can I run my P&Ls through AI now. If I'm trying to do like a quick forecasting, I run it all through AI. Yeah, that's just very basic stuff. So it's really interesting to see what the progression of like the business is going to be, but essentially, I've always adapted that mindset. So I'm adapting that mindset with innovation, integration, systemization. So once I compound that together, my business is going to go to the moon.
Yeah.
It just will. And I think those who aren't adopting or getting in, if you're not on the bus, you're under it. That's the harsh reality of, I guess, the commercial metric that we're in at the moment in regards to tech and tech stacks and all that sort of stuff. Because if you're not utilizing it even a little bit in your business, you're going to get wiped. Yeah. Even the guy or girl next to you or your competing business that's doing it like 20, 30%, they'll let you up. Yeah. So you really got to get involved. So it'd be interesting. Be interesting to see what everyone else does at ARIC, if anyone's actually doing it.
Is anyone getting up? Do you know if anyone's getting up presenting around that, or you're not sure?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure. A lot of people keeping their tech stacks pretty close to themselves.
For sure.
Close to their chest. Yeah. Because it's an unfair advantage. Like it's such an unfair advantage, which is what makes it such a good advantage, you know. And it's really hard to. It's like anything, like you pick up your phone on Instagram. Every second person's an influencer. Every second person's got the best diet. Everyone's got the best formula. It's the same with AI now. Yeah. Everyone's an AI PT. So it's like you get on there and it's like I got the best workflow. I got the best systems. I got the best agents, whatever it is. Yeah. So there's still there's an aggregation and a filtration system process that you still have to go through as a business owner to find out if you're actually like using the right shit. Yeah. And that's probably going to be the runway for like the next 12 months. Is actually just, what does my business need? Like, to give you an example, like I basically scraped all of my checklists in my business. I ran it through AI. Yeah. Took me 3 days and it was 80% I could systemize. It'll take me 12 months to roll out. No way. It's 80%.
Hectic.
So I'm like, okay, well, I know the runway's there. I can't do all of it because there's software keys. You can't get into certain CRMs and bits and pieces. So there's some blockages there. Yeah. But that'll all get knocked over in 12 months. Yeah, right. So if you think you've got a really good business now, like just imagine what it's going to be like in 2 years. Because, today's new is going to be tomorrow's normal, and I think that the pace of absorption and the rate of absorption in tech stacking and what it's meaning for businesses, especially like ours, like a service-based business, even e-com, like product-based businesses, like that rate of absorption is going to be like 300%. Yeah. And like, where does it stop? You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, we'll see. That's
interesting, dude. Do you got anyone advising you on that front as well? You got someone in your corner?
Few. Yeah, I got a few. Yeah. And I've sourced that out because I know, and that's where I fucked up in business early. I've never had mentors. Probably similar. Like I didn't really have any, and again, being in Canberra, maybe not the right, didn't know where to look.
Not as many people around, so such a small population.
Not really doing what I was trying to do and don't really, So, but yet now I do, and now because I'm really cognizant about the runway I'm on and where I'm trying to go and what I know I can build and what I know is necessary to build what I want to build. Yeah, I'm putting all the right people in place. So I've got an army of people around me now. Yeah, beautiful. And I've built that similar like around when we caught up. Like we're spitballing, and that transfer of energy. Like you'll teach me something today, I'll teach you something today, and we'll just keep doing that over the course of a year. But sort of around that time too, when we caught up on the yacht, there's been some really good relationships off the back of that, then that spiderwebbed into others. And I'm really being cognizant to put the best quality people in my life, whether personal or professional, that are going to amplify and give me all of that intel. Yeah. Because we're probably, again, very similar, not to keep using us as a reference, but, stepping off the tools and running the business, on the business, not in the business. I think now too, when I've started to work on the business and I've gone, holy shit, this is Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere. How do I plug it? Who do I plug it with? Is it tech? Is it people? So a lot of the advice I'm getting, and I'm building an AI product.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. But I'm building one, so I'm obviously getting a lot of intel there, and that's getting about 3 hours a day of my focus. Okay. So I'm getting really high. I'm getting really educated in it, which is only making me more hungry to do it. So, and then the same, even just with the corporate structure team, like making sure that my sales manager's got a mentor, and my PM department head's got a mentor from somewhere else because I don't have all the answers.
Yep.
And that's the other thing too, AI in 24 months, you can build an AI agent mentor. So you don't have to go, I don't have to ring Colossians.
No way.
Yeah.
An AI mentor.
Yeah.
Hectic. So then they're advising you how to
Yeah.
then build within the business as well.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
So
wild.
it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So I think like that's actually the dashboard of possibility at the moment.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, like say if I need to find a parallel business, like the other day I want to do some offshore, so I contacted Gav from TRG. Hey bro, are you guys using Wingman? What do you think? Mate, love it, wouldn't live without it. Bang, okay, Wingman, you're in. So it's connecting all those dots, but Wingman will get supported by AI and vice versa. So, and I think too, like the aim of the game of the business too is to make it as high touch and high frequency and high quality as possible. Because real estate, I don't know if this is the same with you on the buyer side, but on the seller side, we're still 20 years behind. We're still arcade. We're still dropping letterbox drops. For fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Still knocking doors. So, and we're quite behind in that regard. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah. That's cool, man. With that transition in, like you said, there kind of like so much more working now high on the business, like working top of the business, right?
Yep.
How long ago did you start doing that? How long ago did you start Hive? It was 2018.
I think this is the 7th year.
Okay. So
but from December.
Yeah.
So cold turkey. I settled 3.8 mil last year and then just cut the head off a snake.
Yeah.
Which hurt.
Yeah.
Swallow. That was a hard one to swallow. But look, the decision around that was my skill set is not in sitting in a living room.
Yeah.
My skill set is in building businesses. It's in building people.
Yeah.
I can build a business that's way better than me. And I think again, similar to Scout, like Scout was Sam, but now it's Scout. The business supersedes you.
Yeah.
So I think at a point, like, and this is the harsh reality of business, right? And this is the harsh reality for top 1% as anybody listening is people create a job for themselves. And then the only way to get out of jail is to sell your business.
Yep.
So you end up twice as stressed because you got to deal with, you're not just the agent, you're the agent carrying the bag of rocks because you got all the other bullshit. So that's a trap I don't want to fall in. But also too, I didn't want to do that too early where, and we've swapped financials and bits and pieces. So I couldn't have done that until I was in a certain financial position because I've still got aspirations, things I want to do. I wanted to have the buffers. I wanted to have the leverage to do the other stuff. So I didn't just want to step out and rip $4 million out of the business unless I was going to make that $4 million up somewhere else.
For sure.
So the strategy is important, right? But also too, putting myself in a position financially to be able to do that, but also mentally, like have the capacity to actually, and be cognizant enough to know who needs the attention, how it needs to be built, like who I've got to approach to build it. And actually my whole life and my whole job role has completely pivoted. Yeah. Because now it's like, how do I make every minute of the day is how to make the business better? How do I make it easy for them to sell? How do I make that person 10% better? How do I support them? How do I do everything for everybody else? Yeah. Rather than how do I do it for my client in the living room?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's daunting and fucking hell, man. Like financially, because the missus is like, well, where's this money?
Where's that 3.8 mil, Josh?
Right. Like, come on, man. So it's like, there's a part of it, there's pressure. I've got 3 kids, like we own a house and all that sort of shit. So I don't go to work. I'm not stressed about money. Yeah. But also too is I'm used to earning a certain amount of money. Yeah. I don't want to go backwards more than I have to, right? So but it's good pressure. And I think in life and in business, again, you'd probably relate to me. It's like, it's always good I like healthy tension. I like every day to have a little bit of healthy tension. I like a little bit of pressure on me just to make sure I'm sharp. Yeah. The minute I get complacent, I get pudgy. I get soft, and, I think I've always consistently put myself in a position where I'm fucking uncomfortable. Like I'm speaking at ARIC on Sunday, brother. I used to wag school for a week. Like if I had a talk on, man, I'd just disappear. Mum wouldn't see me. And now I'm standing, I'm standing up, in front of thousands of people with bloody Kamala Harris and all that shit. But it's like
that's wild.
Yeah, but I'm all about that constant tension because it's like the muscle, man. If the muscle doesn't get tension, it doesn't grow.
Yeah, for sure. If anything, it depletes.
Well, it depletes. So yeah.
That's the best way to put it, man. Exactly like that. So I'll give you an insight into the way, because you and I are very similar in this essence, man. And like you were saying before, from that street cat side of things, man. And we've still got that hunger. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter where we get, man. We've still got that hunger coming in. Yep. I have on my whiteboard every day, so I do not forget. As I walk out and see my whiteboard every day, the top of the whiteboard says, "Always stay in a state of war." Yes. Because to me, it's the same as you talking about the tension, man. If I'm always in that state of war, and it's like, nah. If I feel myself like slowing down, it's like, fuck, hang on, what's going on here?
It is war.
I'm missing something. Exactly. This should be war. It is war. Yeah. How do I keep moving forward? And man, I find it's like, because sometimes when you get in the weeds a little bit, these things pop up and you're like, fuck, and then you've got to just like go high level, bang, what have I look at? What have I got to cut out? And then stay in that fire zone. It's funny, man, because I think when you stay in that, if you stay in that for like an entire year, man, you would do 5 years worth of work compared to being the soft, pudgy version of yourself.
You do it 6 months of work.
Exactly, man. Yeah. Exactly. So it's, no, dude, I can relate to that. When you were saying that, you can see me laughing because I'm like, bro, this is me. 100%. I love this.
And we say that in the office, state of war, state of mind.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, and there's another, I've mentioned this before in other mediums, but like I used to, for years, like we'd made a heap of money. And we had a spare room when we had kids and stuff, and had to sleep in there just because one of us had to sleep with the baby. And mate, it was a mattress on the floor. We were already successful. Yeah. Like very successful. Mattress, iPhone charger, that's it. Yeah. State of war. Like I wake up ready for war. That's it. Like I wake up in a state, like there's no frills. There's no frills with me. You know, to the point where Austin in my office, he kicked the legs off his bed and now he sleeps on the floor. Yeah, monk life. Mate, I'm ready for it. And we say that in the office all the time. But it's so true. And you have to be ready for that. Like you have to, I think, and what I admire, what you've done really well is scaling and growing, you know, you got to stay humble. You got to stay at a state of war, but stay humble, right? The humility is you got to be ready for action, but you got to be humble. Because you know, the calm mind's a dangerous mind too. If you know you're going to be at war and you're constantly letting all the grenades impact you more than they should, for sure, it'll knock you off. You know, and yeah, I think the state of war's mindset is probably the one thing that, you know, and again, knowing your why, it's almost like in parallel with knowing your why. Like your state of war and then knowing your why are the two things that when those grenades are hitting you, that state of that fucking mindset and that why, because there's usually a why behind that. For sure. Right? Because under that whiteboard of yours, there's probably a couple of whys, a couple of goals, a couple of things that you want to do. When shit's heavy, that's the shit that actually gets you through the day. If you're soft and pudgy and you're not ready for war and you're not actually cognizant and putting yourself in that mindset, mate, the smallest paper cut thing can just knock you off your perch. You know, and I think that's the difference between, you know, the really good entrepreneurs and the not ones is that the entrepreneurs know they're at war all the time. Like you talk to Emil Jurassic, he spoke to our sales team and half of them just like brick walls, let's go. Like just, you know, jet everyone up. It's like, I mean,
he just walks in, he's like, let's fucking die. He literally said to me, he goes, I'll die for a fucking listing.
Literally. So all the agents are like, let's do looms, let's fucking and the successful street cats are the ones that know they're going to get punched in the face every day. And I think that's why business isn't for everybody, right? Because I think you know what the landscape is. You know you're going to get smacked. You know, like I said, and Emil actually said this in when we did this little training session. He said to all the other agents, he goes, you guys got the easiest job in the room. You just got to sell houses. Your director's got to sell houses, and he's got to drag the bag of rocks. That's where I got the bag of rocks thing from. You know, and it's like that in business. And I think too, you know, when you've got to really admire the guys. We talk about like tall poppy syndrome in Canberra being really shocking, and we mentioned in the car. You know, we sent a couple of cars and we're all waving at each other, cruising around a Lambo. But people are happy for you, you know, and I think too, that's really important. But yeah, I think that state of war.
When you say that though, do you mean like who you surround yourself with? Is that what
who you surround yourself? Yeah, who you surround yourself, where are you going to put yourself? I think, you know, it's really important to, you know, I think the mindset of the entrepreneur is something that's really underrated. I think the state of war mindset is it's not for everybody. Everybody wants the Lambo. They want the house you just bought, but they're not willing to go through the shit. They're not willing to take the grenades every day. They're not willing to go through the pain. And I think the biggest thing, and again, that's where I was getting at with, you know, what I've admired with what you've done is that you've got to be in a constant state of war, constant state of tension, and most entrepreneurs are in a constant state of pain. They just don't complain about it. You just fucking get on with it. Yeah. That's the difference. And that's the difference between, you know, we're joking in the car about being a street cat and a house cat, is that, you know, like I run towards the pain. You're probably the same. Like how many successful guys you get around a table and they're like, dude, just hit me with a bat. I love it. Yeah. Because you know that on the other side of that pain is the actual growth. Yeah. You know, like for me, like the ARIC thing, right? Like that was, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I'd go, fuck no, I'm not talking to run all those people. But now I'm like, all right, give me the hardest shit. I want more people. I want the hardest tasks. Put me in the cage with a shark. Just give me all the hard stuff, you know? Give me all the stress because I know that I'm going to evolve. And my whole thing now is, you know, stepping back from the business and really trying to evolve as a person and evolve as a business person and evolve as a being. It's like, I want to do all the hard shit. Give me a stack of hard shit before the couch. You know, that's my mindset. That's what's probably really similar with you. You're like, give me the hard stuff because you know that's the stuff that is going to actually, you know, it's the stuff that you need to do. It's stuff that's going to get you where you want to go.
For sure. It's the needle movers, right? And this is what I always look at. And like, obviously, this is a top 1% podcast. I always look in the 1%ers. I think one of the biggest things, man, that I've always witnessed is, man, people who aren't built for that, they'll look for the easy options and they'll stay in those weeds and they won't look to like, you know, how can they level up from it? But then if you're running towards the problems, man, for one, it's either going to fucking blow up and you're either going to get through it and get past it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that, man. You're right. But like, it's one or two things happen. It's going to blow up. You know, turn around with a towel between your legs and go back to back to the weeds, or you go through it, and whether it blows up or it works out or whatever, you learn from it, you keep pushing on, keep moving forward.
100%.
I think one of the biggest things I've always seen, man, is the people who are willing to embrace that and take that on and tackle it and go, fuck, whichever way it turned out, it's like, okay, it's just a lesson here, whether it was a good lesson or it was a bad lesson and it cost me money, whatever it was.
100%.
Yeah, man, it's embracing that piece and just keep moving forward, keep pushing through it as well.
And the willingness to keep going. So it's that you nailed that, you know, and is it, you know, a loss or a lesson? Boom. All right. Well, if it's a lesson, great. If it's a loss, great. Next. Yeah. It's the willingness to just get fucking back off the canvas and go again, and go again, and go again. It's like what the Colonel of KFC, he didn't start his business, he was like 64 or something, you know what I mean? 1,000 rejections. And how many copy paste stories of that did you hear about, you know, that entrepreneur? It is copy paste, you know. And the other thing too, like most entrepreneurs, it's almost like there's always some adversity. There's always a chip on the shoulder. There's always some substance behind those people. I don't know. I've never met an entrepreneur that doesn't have some substance behind them.
Yeah,
you know?
Successful entrepreneur.
Everyone's
a fucking entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. Everyone on Instagram is an entrepreneur. But yeah, very true.
It's true, man. It's true, mate. That is a perfect segue into. I want to hear more about your backstory.
Sure.
Because so often, man, what I find when you speak to these people. You know, blokes like yourself and I, and ladies as well. They've gone through some sort of hardship, or they've just been brought up in that sort of environment. And there's been formulative events, man. The reason I love to unpack it is because so many people, they kind of, they almost victimize the situation that they're in because they've been through something. But the harsh reality is we've all been through shit. Like it's very unusual for someone to have not gone through anything. But how do you turn that into a strength rather than looking at it as a weakness?
Totally.
And so I'd love to hear more about your backstory, man. I know obviously you've had a pretty cool. I know some of it, man, but I'd love to you know hear the upbringing, bro. How did it all happen?
Well, I'll give you the one glass of wine version.
Where's the chip on the shoulder come from?
Well, you know, it's funny. So the chip on the shoulder, it came from something that happened when I was 18.
Okay.
Right? So I probably didn't identify what that chip on the shoulder was until I was older. So I never knew my dad. So to go back, it was me and my mum living in a little govy house, you know, and we were like, you know, Mum, I hope you're not listening. I don't want to throw you under the bus. But look, we were poor. It was a govy street, you know, and I just, my vision of that, you know, first 8 years was a positive one because it was just me and Mum. And like we were poor as shit. Like so was everyone on the street. And I remember it was like we'd have plain rice with sauce for dinner and like it was, we were broke, you know, like, but I was super loved, you know, I still got attention and what I wanted and it wasn't abused or anything like that. But it was just, we were broke as shit, right? She met my stepdad. You know, there's some alcohol, you know, and I don't want to go to, my parents are still alive, so I don't want to say too much, but a lot of alcohol abuse from, you know, sort of 10 to 20. So, and the disconnect between mum sort of happened there and I never had a relationship with my stepdad. So I played up like anyone with a chip on their shoulder. I'm an ADD kid. I've got, you know, big ambitions, always thought I was right. But I just always had this feeling of, you know, I was always loved by my mum. It never went without. Like Christmases were great and like went to a good school and all that sort of shit. But there was just, I guess, the disconnect in what I needed. I needed some support. Like I needed someone who was, you know, my mum didn't have aspirations to like do anything. She's like, she said to me one day, she's like, I just wanted to marry a farmer and be, you know, a wife. You know, so it's
a farmer.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know why she wanted to marry a farmer, but I guess, you know, it was just, we just don't align like that. So like, I've always been like, I want to go to the moon. I want to go to the moon. You know, I was always just that kid from as long as I could remember. I was always just.
Why? Why did you want to go so hard?
Just, it was in me. Okay. It was just in me. I don't know why. And maybe that's because I just, from an early age, just felt insecure, a point to prove. I don't know. Like,
had no money.
Had no money, you know, early. But then when she met my stepdad, he had a bit of cash. So it was all right. Like, we never like went with that, never went hungry, not this sort of thing. But got to 18, was drinking, playing up. I was a naughty kid, really naughty kid. Like, to the point I had my own desk at high school that was my desk next to the principal's office because I used to get called to the principal's office all the time, you know, because I was always in trouble. Josh, please come to the head office. Yes. And I go, and
you had your own desk?
I had my own desk.
Wow.
Because I was a naughty kid. I was always getting in trouble. Anyway, so never knew my dad. And I found out that he was living only a few suburbs away from me, like the entirety of my life. Wow. And that fucked with my head because I just wanted a dad, right? I just wanted someone to kick a ball with. I was always down the oval by myself till the lights went off. I was just that kind of kid, but I was always just doing that sort of stuff on my own. And because of all the drink and all the stuff that went on, you know, there was just a big disconnect in those formative years, right? And again, I'm only identifying this now because I've got kids. So I'm looking back and thinking, fuck, I would never do that to my kids. I would never, in the shit you see, and, you know, don't need to go into all that detail, but it's like you just wouldn't do it. But then I met him when I was 18. So I reached out to him. I met him at Macca's and I was like, hey, I'm your son. He's like, yeah, I know. Didn't want a bar to do with me. So he just basically looked at me. He's like, didn't want a bar to do with me at all. And I just thought, fuck, I felt so unwanted. I'm like, fuck you, you know, we'll see. And that was basically it. And so that flicked a switch in my head.
Yep.
And then basically that was it. And I've just had this burning desire. And when I look back now with the success that I've had and the kids that I've had, because when you have kids, you really reflect. You're like, you look back at your own childhood, not that you compare, but you sort of just think like, I would never do that. I tell my kids I love them 400 times a day because I want them to know. And I was loved. Like my mum was great.
Yep.
But I just, you know, there's all these parallels and paradoxes where when you have kids, you do a lot of self-reflecting. And if I look back and I go, where did that like initiate, you know? And I think there was some years from 18 to like mid-20s that were not good years.
Yeah, right.
Some pretty dark, not good.
Okay.
Some pretty dark places, you know, and probably wasted a lot of my talent, you know, when I talk about being in the right circles, I put myself in some really bad situations with some really bad people often because I was just angry.
Yeah, right.
Angry, fueled on the piss, you know, like a lot of people. And I had to snap out of that,
Yep.
distance myself. And we talk about getting optics and getting, you know, everything from a bird's eye view. I had to get away from mum, get away from friends, get away from people, get away from everybody and just go to solitude. And that's what I did in my mid-20s. Just went like, got away from everybody, rented a place and started again.
Why did you do that? Like, what made you go and do it?
I just realized that like I was wasting years and I knew what I was, when you're around, when you know what you're capable of and when you know what life has to offer. And I think when you've seen the good and the bad in life growing up, and you know you're not half stupid. There's just a light bulb moment. You look around, you think, why the fuck am I sitting here with these people talking utter shit on a Saturday night? Why am I here? Like pubs are where dreams go to die. You know what I mean? So light bulb switch went off, and it was just. And I actually remember I was driving past this fire station on this particular road, and something went off in my head, and I'm like. I saw it. I saw the business. I saw the vision developing. I saw my life. It was it's like I went into this parallel matrix. It's like I entered the matrix. I took the blue pill, and I just had this vision.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I think I just snapped, got back into real estate, and just built what I built. So it was a very clear, definitive path. But I was also willing to just eat shit. I gave myself 10 years. I said, I'll go back in when I'm 27. By 37, I'm going to be financially free. So to the point where I can just close the door. And my lifestyle doesn't change, and I can still build wealth. And all of the lessons and everything else that sort of happened, you know, along with that, obviously have transpired into, you know, my learnings now and how I treat my kids and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think I don't know what it's like for most people, but for me, there was definitely a definitive moment of I'm not wasting my life anymore. Like I want to be of value. I want to be able to look back at the guy I've created, you know, on my deathbed and be truly proud of the life I've built. And respectfully looking around, you know, in my 20s, this isn't going to get me there. This is not going to get me there. And because I didn't have that, I couldn't go back home and get that. I didn't have any, my lineage and my family aren't sort of commercially savvy.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anywhere to go and find these answers, but I had all these questions, you know, and it's a very lonely place because you're like, you know, and you still got this chip on your shoulder, like, you know, this fucking imaginary dad that you're still trying to point to. So the point is proved. So, but it's like, so I found that a really hard place to navigate because I'm starting from ground zero. You know, all my mates are they're getting qualified in, you know, different trades and they're buying houses and they're shacking up with girls. And I've just come out of the dark and I'm like, I've got to start again. And that's why, you know, I went so hard because I'm like, I'm going to do 4 decades worth of life in a decade. That was my plan. I'm like, I'm going to do 40 years worth of wealth creation, which me and Sam have done in 10 years.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have life on my terms by the time I'm 37, 38.
Yep.
So it was almost like the design and the blueprint that I had, you know, at 26, 27, I'm literally living that exact life now because I was so clear because I had such a point to prove, you know, and it came from such a deep place and it's still in me. I can't turn it off. That's the other thing, you know. And that's the thing, you know, that state of mindset and that drive, it's forever in me. But now, you know, people talk about different fuels, you know, like that was a great fuel to get me to where I am. Yeah. But now the fuel's changed. I need a more sustainable fuel. Now my fuel is about growth and happiness and fulfillment. But it's not about proving a point. Yeah. Because I've done that. Yeah. So and now it's about changing the fuel source to a more nuclear fuel that's long lasting, that's going to get me through to the next big phases and the next big goals.
And so that for you now is your family?
Family.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet.
Family. And I think everything I do is to try to be the best example of what I want my young boys to be and what my daughter looks up as what a man should be. Yeah. You know, quit drinking, quit all the other shit, you know, very highly disciplined. And I think your kids really do shape the version of yourself that you try to build. And they should. I don't want to be, and part of that big vision, that big plan was to never be the real estate agent that's on his second, third, fourth marriage. And I'm still number one in Canberra and I'm making all this money, but I've missed all the ballet. I've missed every soccer game, whatever.
Yeah.
Mate of mine, he actually lives up here now. He said something great to me one year. He goes, your kids will never remember the 2 listings you didn't get, Dad, but they'll remember the holiday you didn't take them on. And I thought, fucking hell, that's poignant, you know? But to a point, I still wanted to be successful enough that I could still go out and have, you know, the pleasures in life that I wanted to build for. And that's why I didn't want to step away from selling super early, because I wanted to make sure that I've got myself, my family, my boys, everything in the position where I can really, like, they're at an age now where they get so much of me and I can still continue the commercial path.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting the best of both worlds.
For sure.
You know, which, and again, like, I'm not entitled to have a bad day. Like, I'm not allowed to have a bad day. Like, I can't. It's not right that I ever have a bad day, because what more can you ask for me?
Yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. Mate, do you think with that, like, obviously, you know, I don't have kids, right? But in terms of the fire, like, and it's funny, man, because like I've there's a lot of stuff from my past that keeps me as driven as I am now. And people ask, like, when's enough? Like, when are you going to stop going so hard, blah, blah, blah. When are you going to stop buying properties? When are you going to stop trying to scale to build the, you know, to take out the world and all the rest of it? And for me, it's like, well, fuck, never. Like, why? Why would I stop? Like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm good at and what gives me drive and purpose. If anything, I feel like I have more drive now, even though I was like hungry as hell when I started. I feel like I have more drive, and I think more like directed vision. You know what I mean? Like, that drive is like, it's got a purpose. It's 100%. It's literally got a beeline in terms of where I'm going as target, right? Do you think with, obviously you had a ridiculous drive because you had a point to prove over that decade, right? Over that 10-year window. Now you've got your kids. How old are you now?
37.
Okay, sweet. So you've hit, okay, beautiful, sweet. So you're 37 now. The drive's changed. Is the drive bigger?
It's 10 times bigger.
Is it really?
Yeah. And that's a dangerous thing.
Fucking oath.
Yeah. And to your point, business is, you know, for people like us, and Simon Beard said this on one of his podcasts the other day, it's like, business is my hobby. It's just my passion. Some people like Pilates, I like business. Like me and you could probably drive around for 3 hours in the car doing laps just talking shit. Because we love it. You know, it's not that we like it more than, you know, it's just a passion.
Yes.
So that's healthy, you know, and I think there's a vision there, there's a plan, you're creating jobs, you're helping people, and it forces you to be a disciplined individual, you know. You're very highly disciplined, you're achieving goals, you bought this beautiful house, we won't say the address, guys, but a big thing on the water, you know, but, you know, rocking up to the gym, and obviously because of your profile, you know, all these guys in the gym that know you or know of you, like, oh, Sam did this. You're creating a bit of inspiration for people. So there's always a ripple and a runoff effect for your success for people that you don't even know. You know, so I would say to those people, like, when are you going to chill out, Sam? Fuck off. You're like, just sit in your lane, let me do my thing. Because at the end of the day, like, it's good for you, it's right for you. And look, you guys, you'll have kids at some point. Your priorities and the way that you look at the world through a different prism, because you just do. And it's hard to say that to someone who doesn't have kids, because you need to have kids to understand what I'm talking about, but you just look through life a little differently. So if anything, it amplifies everything you just said. So for me, I'm 10 times hungrier, and I'm probably 10 times more dangerous. I'm 10 times clearer, and I'm 10 times more motivated, and that's scary. But also too
scary for the competition.
Yeah, but you know why? Because now I've got a family and I'm doing it for them. Like, I've got a family to protect. It's like anything below excellent is unacceptable. Anything below, because the example for me now in my mind is like, if I'm setting an example for these people, anything below 10 out of 10 is not good enough. Because I want them to know if they want to set goals, they set them at 10. They don't set them at 7.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's, anyone that shares a negative view on that, you're probably just not doing enough, respectfully. You're probably just not. You're just not ready for war. You're probably not taking the punches. You know, like the guys that are really excelling at it and being successful. So it's just that ripple effect. So yeah, for me to answer your question, mate, 10 times hungrier. And what I've got planned for the next 24 months is like, I will 10x my business and everything that I've done within the next 24, 36 months. I'll 10x it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know how to do it now.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. And I think when you're in a clear, like you said, you've got a clear line of sight.
Yeah.
You've got a very clear vision, and you're a great strategist, and you've got so many verticals and so many mediums where every hand washes the other. It's very, very smart the way you do business, right? and it's very scalable way, but it also enables you to have a very clear path about how you want to expand, grow, move the pieces around on the chessboard, all that sort of stuff. For me too, very similar. I think because now I've stepped back and I'm able to, get crystal clear optics on exactly what I need to do, where I need to do it, who's getting my attention, and obviously a lot of that's my kids, but it's putting me in a state of flow. And I think that the best entrepreneurs out there are always just in this state of war, but in this state of flow.
Yes.
Like we always say this saying in the office where like the calmest place to be in a storm is in the eye of a tornado because there's no wind, but you just, everything else is going around you and you're just there, crystal clear vision.
Yep.
And it's our days are just like that. We're just in the middle of that fucking tornado and everything else is going around. So to answer your question, hungry as ever and excited for it.
I love that, man. I love that. I had Jack Delosa on the potty a couple of weeks ago.
Obviously,
you and I
big
both
Jackie
know
boy.
well.
Yep.
And man, it's funny, dude. The two podcasts I probably were most excited to listen back to, Jack's and then this one.
Yes.
Man, 'cause I'm taking so much away from it. I'm fucking amped. You know what I mean?
Pumped.
But man, it was really funny, man. It was poignant to what you were saying before. Was I asked him around the same thing of like, how was family changing? Because so many people I see in my space and other people as well, I almost get excited when a competitor has a child.
Yeah.
Because I know they're going to take the foot off the gas.
Yes, it's
and
true.
But it's funny because they don't have the same chip on their shoulder that we do now.
Yeah.
And then hearing it from you that you go, now I'm 10x more driven, if anything, from having them and from building a family.
Yeah.
And when I was speaking to Jack, it was funny because he said a very similar thing. And he said, now when he's in the office, he gives himself zero leeway for fucking around and wasting time.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if I'm here fucking around, I could be at home with my kid, which I want to be.
100%.
So when he's in the office now, he's super dialed. He's putting 100%, 110% in versus maybe he was at 70, 80 before, fluffing around a bit. Yeah. And now he's just super dialed every time he comes in the office. And if he's not going to be super dialed, he doesn't go in. If something's not going to serve the purpose of him actually being there, I'm not going to go in. I prefer to be at home with my kids. So
you nailed that. That's pretty much the ARIC speech. It's just that. It's like if you're going to come in.
I'll save you money, guys.
Just come see Sammy Gordon, guys. Scout Buyers Agency. But basically, like, it is about being hyper intentional, right? And Matt in my office, we're going through this at the moment where he's like, all right, bro, I want to do 9 hours worth of work in 6. He's got 3 kids, same as me, but he goes, I want to turn it the fuck up. I'm ready to go. So it is about, prioritizing and intensifying your actions within those time windows.
Yeah.
So he's like, I've only got 2 hours where I could be dollar productive because I've got daycare pickup, this, that, project meetings. So I'm going to come into that 2 hours ready for war.
Yeah.
And it is about that. So it's like for me, the whole thing about prioritizing your time, compounding, time chunking, task chunking, all that sort of stuff. Like Frank's a really good task chunker. Like he'll do a business meeting on a run. His son will come and join him in the gym and all that sort of stuff. So it's about like, if my priorities are the kids, but I have to go to work and I have to be impactful for these people, like same with you and your big team, like, you got to roll in there and be impactful. Yeah. So if you're going to give that person that hour, you're going to roll in there at 120 because you've got to leave an impact with them because that'll then ripple out into the business for the next month.
For sure.
And he nailed that point, and that's probably just that's sort of how I'm living now, like I think I'm just, when I'm with you, like I'm hyper intentional here. Yeah. And this is a transfer of energy. Like we're both going to leave here bricked up, ready to just run through walls and just.
I probably shouldn't be leaving the Lambo. This is going to be dangerous. This is going to be dangerous.
Oh man, let's do 300. So it's, but again too, and it's about, I guess when you get into a position of business too, you can prioritize your time. I've found where I'm really effective is I want to fill my day with more of this. So I want to be able to fill my day with, well, where in my day am I going to get leveled up? Or if I go hang out with SG for 2 hours, I'm going to feel amazing. So I want that in my week. Same with the Jack Delosa. Like, how much quality did you get out of that conversation? You left there for a week just going, fuck, that was good. But you also know you got to batten back a couple of grenades in the day. But I think too, we just say, with tennis racket, they're going to come in there. We're just like, it's like Wimbledon. We just knock it back grenades all day. But I think that, the big thing that I've found that's a massive hack for anyone listening is prioritizing, that those energy transfer windows. Yeah. So if you're away from your kids, putting yourself around the people, the mentors, the friends, commercially, just whatever in life that you're getting that out of in a day. But also too, if you've got to go and eat a shit sandwich for 2 hours, put your hard hat on and get ready for war and be hyper intentional within that 2 hours because it's like you could do 5 hours worth of work in 2. It's like the wealth creation thing. Like my whole metric in my life was like, well, I've watched everyone else do it. How do I do 40 years worth in 10?
Yeah.
So I tried to be intentional with a decade.
Yep.
So I've basically tried to time chunk a decade.
Yep.
That was like my whole thing.
Hectic.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So,
Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, well, proof's in the pudding. So I'm tired. A few grey hairs and I'm fucking tired and a few more wrinkles.
That's why we all need the fresh fades. We're all fucked.
Yeah, I know.
We don't have them, mate. I need that weekly or they're all sticking out. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much it. He nailed it. So, and you can do that on a macro and a micro level. And it's probably something really cognizant for the top 1%ers listening in any sector, business, sport, whatever, is just being that hyper intentional with your time. Because the output that you get out of that's just going to be tenfold.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. Now, man, something else I wanted to touch on as well is in your youth, man. I know obviously you were quite a competitive boxer as well.
Yeah.
How much do you think that played in part and impact in terms of like your drive within it too?
A lot. Boxing, soccer, footy, skating, all of it.
Yeah.
And I think too, I just had energy to burn.
Yeah.
And I've just started MMA. My wife's going to hate this. But I've just started MMA, so I'm going to try and have an MMA fight at 40. So it's like in 2 years, like masters. But just again, it's a good outlet, but it's a good outlet for discipline.
Yeah.
And I think adopting that, I'm putting the kids in jiu-jitsu and kickboxing early because I remember when I was a kid, when you went out, you fought. It's just what the culture was. For a lot of king hitting and all that sort of stuff. And to the point, my brother, we used to come home bloodied shirts and, all the time. And it was just like a rite of passage. So my brother actually went out and got a brown belt in some jiu-jitsu discipline because he was shitting bricks.
Yeah.
But when he's 18, he's got to be able to handle himself, So part of that was ingrained in me growing up and still transfers over. Yep. And I look back at it now and that's definitely a fabric that I want to intertwine with my kids because I want my kids to be able to have that confidence that I have. You can walk. Competence breeds confidence, right? Yep. And I think so from a cognitive mental capacity level, commercially, you and I could sit here and chop it up about, deals and real estate and business in general. And we're competent and confident because this is what we do all day. I want my kids to have that same level of confidence in all areas of their life, plus that physical aspect, because I feel like there's and you were a highly competitive soccer player as well, but you're a highly confident guy, right? But you've got the mix of both. You're not scared to give it to him if he needs it, but you do that in business too. So I think there's something to be said for it, but there's also something to be said for the discipline that it gives you. And I think to know that you're the most dangerous man in the room and be confident and, as long as no one else does, that's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
The same if you're the smartest one in the room, be the quietest one in the room. And you don't ever want to be the smartest one in the room, but I think that quiet confidence is something super powerful. And that's probably a big blueprint for my kids that I want to create is how much of that through these formative years now that I've got the time and filling all the gaps that I had as a kid, that probably let me down is how do I build these little individuals to come into this commercial world and be confident and be ready to roll and be ready for war.
Yeah. 100%. No, I couldn't agree more, man. I love it. It's a funny thing, dude. I had a not probably as hectic as yours was, obviously coming from that housing commission sort of background.
Yep.
But man, I think so I went to school in Fairfield, so Western Sydney, hectic area.
Rough.
Rough. It was gang city they used to call it. It was Fairfield. And it's funny, man, being exposed to that. And then when I was exposed to that, my old boy put me into boxing quite young as well. Because it was pretty hairy there. And man, I think the traits you kind of pull out of it, and exactly say a confidence side of things as well. Not that you need to flaunt it or walk around you can bash people. But it's more I'm more confident, relaxed, everything from it as well. And then, dude, I agree with you completely. Being able to carry that into business as well. It's just that quiet confidence side of things. And we're both obviously outgoing style people too. But it doesn't mean it's brash or over the top. Right. It's just that level of confidence you carry through as well. 100%. I think very much from team sports as well. And obviously, like you said, with the soccer and the footy and that too. I think it's massive, man. The transition of being able to carry that through and being able to deal in the team setting and a team environment too, man. It's different, man. I've seen people that come through that don't come from that as well, and they can struggle from it. And you can try and nurture it and foster it, but ultimately, it's something you learn, I think, when you're very young as well. And so, man, I'm going to be exactly the same when I have kids. Do the same thing. It's probably going to be jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and then bloody getting them into soccer or something like that as well, man.
That's literally what we do.
It's the whole circle, right, of learning, which is in those formative years so important.
100%, and it shapes, and it's vice versa. You see kids, and unfortunately see kids go through hell, and where do they end up when they're older? It's what happens between 0 to 7 is pretty much going to set you up from 7 to whenever.
Interesting.
It really is 0 to 7 are the proven formative years, the real, that neuroplasticity. Where you give a 5-year-old a PlayStation controller and he's all of a sudden he's the best in the world. You know what I mean? Because they just pick everything up so quick. It's the rate of absorption for my kids scares me. How fast they pick stuff up. But they also say, don't swear around your kids, guys, because they'll pick it up really quick. But good and bad, But again, it's that confidence you carry. And I feel the great thing about life is, and the great thing about knowledge and skills is once it's in you, like we always say, like if a chippy can build a house today and the tornado knocks it over, he can build it tomorrow.
Yeah.
They can't take your confidence and they can't take your knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and I think as individuals, it's your job as an individual to build the person you want to be. Like we're just avatars at the end of the day. Like you can build yourself into be a piece of shit and just who drinks and does nothing with his life, or you can build yourself into a battle-hardened like entrepreneur, business person, or whatever you do in life, athlete. It's your choice and it's your responsibility to build the version of yourself that you want to go through life as. And then when you have kids, it's your job and your duty to help shape. You never, like they're all so different. Like it's like a bag of Skittles. You don't know what you're going to get, right? Like they're all so different.
Sam will love that.
Yeah, it's just one's swinging from the bloody rooftop. The other one's, anyway, they're crazy. But it's your job. It is your job to provide the framework and the structure to shape them and to give them the best opportunity possible and give them the best options possible to be the best versions of themselves and give them the confidence to want to try things in life. And, when they get older, that confidence, if it's learnt by 10, they'll carry that through to their 50.
Yeah.
100%.
I can tell you, like it's exciting to think about it. I can tell you're excited about it as well, like
so
knowing
excited.
what you're building these little weapons into as well. So.
Lunatics.
Yeah. Well, look at you, mate. What do you expect?
I know. Well, hey, look, I turned out all right. So, and they're much better than me.
No, that's good, man. Dude, yeah. I love it, man. If we jump into into the Hive side of things, right? Obviously, Hive Property.
Yep.
Man, you started that you said 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
So you've come back in at 27 as a real estate agent.
Yep.
You've started that at 30 odd.
Yep.
Talk to me about the scale from there and how important that is for you.
Yeah.
How that formulated.
Yeah, it was big, man. So basically the way it went down, I actually got knocked back for my tattoos. So I was trying to get back in and one of these, he was just, I won't say who it is, but he knocked me back. He's like, oh mate, you'll never sell a white collar. And I was like, all right, watch me. Anyway, knocked back. Anyway, got to start at a place. And my whole, because, if we were to talk about me, I was trying to time chunk a decade. Like I was crystal clear.
Yeah.
Is it what I needed to do? It had to happen by 37. So everything I did, every action that I did, like literally, man, from like when I woke up, like from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night, it was to get to that goal, right? It wasn't like just airy-fairy, plans in the dust. Yeah. It was crystal clear. So when I went back into it, I saw a big gap in the market and went, there's no really good project agent that's servicing projects at a high level and doing resi. Okay. So I'm like, I'm going to be the best one.
Project.
Yeah.
So I was selling like off the plan.
Yeah, big off the plan, like big verticals. Yep. I was like, no one's doing it really well. But to get to that level, I needed to see like the amount of like builders, I needed to basically put myself through, real estate uni. I had to go through all, and I was doing all the shit that agents just won't do. Yep. But this is the difference, right? The mentality of like, I know what's needed. I know what I need to do to get to where I want to go. Yeah. And it's going to hurt and it's going to suck and I'm not going to get any return on this for 5 years. Yeah. Did it anyway. Yeah. Because I knew that if I did it, I'll hit that 10-year goal. So the issue in real estate too is people are very short-sighted and same with success. You would see this. I want it now. And I
in everything, mate.
In everything.
Everything.
Yeah. It's like they go to the gym once and they want to be Arnold. Like
where's my biceps now? I just trained arms.
Yeah, I ate a salad. Why am I not 10 kilos lighter? It's like, fuck, come on, dude. So it's like, and real estate, it's that times 1,000, right? Yeah. So for me, it was like I got crystal clear optics on what I needed to do over the first like couple of years. And that was like, I'm just going to tool myself up in all the areas that are going to make me ultra efficient or ultra desirable for a developer and a mum or a dad or anyone to want to work with me, right? So it was really just about building this just elite agent that I'm going to be this magnet attraction agent. Yeah. And then it was just a case of like going out and finding the right clients and building the network and all that sort of stuff. So I did that, met Sam on Tinder. Yep. Didn't have standard, didn't have social media back then. So I had to create a fake Facebook account to get on Tinder. And Sam, who I'm sure will listen, hit me up, which is my claim to fame. She's this cheesy one-liner. Anyway, got me.
Did she really?
Yeah, she hit me up.
There we go.
And then, mate, we were married, I think 4 months after that.
What?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Holy fuck. Yeah. How old were you?
20, I was 30, 29.
Holy shit.
Or 28, yeah. So anyway, married super quick.
What was the cheesy one-liner? Come on.
It was a real estate match made in heaven.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So she was an agent, right?
Okay.
And because like we were sort of like, we weren't drinking, not going out. I'm working 7 days a week like a dog. Like I'm working 12 hours a day, bro. Like literally 7 days a week, just pedal to the metal. Like you get it, right? And so anyway, on there, met her, love my life, boom, married. And then I actually went over and worked with her because I'm like, I'm going to go work with her and just see if we don't kill each other. Went over.
That's dangerous, man.
Yeah, it was fucking, we're just crazy. Like there's an element of being an entrepreneur where you got to be like, it's a fine line between genius and fucking insane, you know, and you just dance on that line, I swear to God. So like we went over there and look, it worked. We grew a big team. We ended up sort of, I guess you could say we're probably sort of doing more business than the office.
Yep.
Then I got approached by one of Canberra's biggest developers, and he's like, "Mate, been watching you." And we've sort of been tic-tacking, and he big operator, right? He does the big stuff, like the 300-400 sort of size. And he goes, "Mate, I want to work with you." So you know, we got on board, did that for 6 months. And then he called me when I was away on holiday shark diving, and he goes, "Mate, I want to work with you exclusively. I don't see any value in the company that you're with. I'm going to give you." It was a 6 to 7 mil contract for, I think it was like 4 to 5 years worth of work.
Yeah.
But it was like life changing. It was like winning the lotto. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, done. So literally like me and Sam straight to a pub, partied, you know, like this call of a lifetime. Came back anyway, left. We started Hive, didn't have a brand, didn't have anything. We basically built the plane we were flying, working out of a concreter's office. There was 5 of us, little sweatshop, just absolute like just copy paste, working out of your garage, you know, Amazon type vibes. From there,
bro. I feel you.
Yeah, it was fucked, you know. Then you get a call. We just get this anonymous call. We'll just say that. And we found out that our previous employer wasn't going to pay us. We were owed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. Big check for one of these projects that was outstanding. So we found out that we weren't going to get paid. We got down to $1,000 in the business account, and I had 6 staff. My wife had just given birth. I had a 3-week-old baby. I'm working out of this concreter's office. I didn't even have a logo, right? And I was waiting on this check to set us up. So you can imagine how I had to go in and say, "Hey, babe, you know that money? Well, they're going to keep it." And that was low. Like that was a really low point, right? Because I've just felt like I'd failed her. I'm like, my fucking poor wife. Because my wife, Sam, built everything. She built all the back end. So she built all the checklists. She was an agent, and then she pivoted to property management, built all the checklists. Like we built everything by hand because we're not a franchise. So we had to build it, right? So we had to build it while trading, while growing. Like I don't think people understand how hard that really is.
100%.
With a 3-week-old, with no sleep. And we were at each other. And like, I remember one morning, I was just that tired. I went to take Panadol. I took 2 sleeping tablets at 6 o'clock in the morning because I thought they were Panadol. So I rolled in, you know, like this is the kind of headspace we were in like this whole week, you know, because I was like, oh, this is stressing me out. So you're just in all this shit, right? Long story short, the developer found out, went around the guy, cut the check with the lawyer directly, hand delivered it to us, boom, we're on.
No way.
So then we got this mad space down the road, started scaling up, built the brand, started to build the tone of voice. Like we had the vision, but we had to basically build the plane while we were flying. Yeah. So the direction and the vision for the brand was to be Canberra's number 1 luxury brand, which we've done. Yeah. But it was, we needed to get runs on the board, build trust equity, build staff, you know, and people were coming to the business with just the vision. Like I'm sitting there saying, Sammy, like this is what we're going to do. Yeah. And mate, we were getting top talent early with nothing to show for it.
Hectic.
But we'd always, you know, in the rap sheet, from day one, we have consistently, even with fuck all behind us, doing record sales.
What do you reckon your keys to that was the key?
It's the knowledge. So going back to the earlier, you know, putting myself through this like little mini Josh University was like, I built a skill set that can't be beaten. Yeah. You know, so I guess, you know, and the numbers don't lie. So when transacting property, there's a certain skill set where you tap into a bit of projects, you tap into a bit of this, you tap into a bit of that, where I'm not a one-dimensional agent. So my whole goal was to just not be one-dimensional. So I'd lean on a lot of different skill sets, and that's enabled me to always get the best results consistently. And that's what Hive's known for. Yeah. But I knew that day one. And I knew I had to build that guy. So in order to be able to get that leverage, to get the staff, to get the brand awareness, to get to build the funnel, that was actually me. So I had to build myself as the spearhead. Yeah. But I knew that. So I don't think having that understanding early really helped me because I knew the path. Like I just understand business well. It resonates with me. And then from there, mate, it just spiraled. So basically we ended up buying a building, which we bought, we renovated it. Which is now like it's a cash flow tool for us as well. So we ran out downstairs, we ran off ourselves upstairs. Beautiful. And we've outgrown that. So we're going to need to go downstairs like eventually whatever. It holds about 75 people. So we'll fill that. And then from there, like, I don't know. So essentially now, like we're in the, you know, affluent part of town, business, you know, building that we own, you know, it's 200 meters from my house, you know, and then the school's 200 meters down the road. So we've designed the lifestyle again, you know, like Jack talked about, you know, being hyper intentional about, well, if he's in there for 2 hours, he wants to be hyper intentional, hyper focused. But we've basically created a whole life that way where everything's within a prism, everything's within, you know, short proximity. So there's no leakage in my life. Like there's no time leakage in fucking around driving. There's no time leakage in my day, you know, and everything from like a wealth creation point of view, everything we buy, build, do has those like same layers of opportunity, right? It's like, how do I get the leverage out of it? Well, is it a time leverage? Okay, well, I'll put the office right next to my house. Is it an equity leverage? Well, I'll renovate it. I'll create the uplift. Is it a cash flow leverage? Well, I'll rent it back out to myself. You know, so it's always, that's the way I've always looked at things. So while the business is compounding and growing and we're getting market share and we're growing, in parallel and in turn, I've always had this very clear commercial vision, like you, like this strategy vision where I've got, you know, one's a cash flow, one's a growth, one's a time one. Like, so as the business grows, it's just funneling and feeding the other plan, which is where the real wealth is being created, which is probably like similar to you. And now, mate, we're sitting, you know, now we're at the point where, you know, I've just this morning got a text, like people are trying to poach our agents, you know, because their profile's so big. People are like, I've got a laser pointer on my head all day.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and you would be the same. It's like they come after your staff. They you know, they badmouth you in the living room, yet they copy all of your content and they copy everything that you do. So, you know, your biggest haters are generally your biggest fans. So now the brand itself in Canberra now is solidified as the trusted, like, number one luxury brand. We sort of bounce between second and fifth for market share. There's not a lot of deals between that. We'll smash that now that we've got staff coming on. But essentially that's the growth, that's the journey. Sprinkle a few kids in there. We started a mortgage brokerage business, which we broke. But pardon the pun, but we broke the brokerage because basically we had this model where we were just funneling leads into it and we just broke it. You know, too many leads too quick, and we ended up selling it back to loan markets. So we've built businesses. We've done developments. So there's a lot that's happened in that growth phase. But again, all like you, whiteboard, very strategic. And it's all, look, touch wood, but it's all worked out.
That's beautiful, man. Dude, it's a cool story, I think. You know, walking through, even that side of it sounds like attracting the talent just purely came from being, like you said, you went through that real estate university. Did I say the same thing? I gave myself a bachelor's of property because the amount of you know, content I consumed and then doing my own deals and everything. And it was like, I didn't have any formal education, didn't go to uni, no training or anything, but like I built it from that side 100%. Of things. And I think, man, like seeing that from you, that's the way you went through, and you went through this university degree for yourself of going through and doing all this stuff and putting yourself through the school of hard knocks of that and eating shit for 5 years, like you said, has now set the stage for you getting to where you want to go or where you've gotten to now. But so many people won't eat shit for 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, to get that end result and go to the top level, man. 100%. So it's crazy, dude. And then it makes sense. Like attracting the talent comes because you've built that knowledge base, you know how to do it. And then people are like, hang on, I want a piece of that. Like he's breaking records. I want to do that here, there, everywhere. So it's that's unreal, man. I love that.
Appreciate it. And that's what's scalable and not too dissimilar from what you're doing, you know. But then who benefits from that? If we're putting ourselves through that bachelor degree, who benefits? Well, the guys and girls under us. Then we teach them. We put them through uni. Then that's what's scalable. That's how I guess, you know, the earlier question, you're like, well, what next? It's like, well, 10x, brother. Because now I can 10x this skill set. If you put 10 people in front of me, I can 10x the skill set. And if I 10x the skill set, what happens to the revenue? 10x's. So again, but someone has to be, they talk to, I don't know if it's the same in your life, but they, you know, there's if you look at like a lineage, right? If I look at my lineage, all Irish, you know, all pissheads, love it. But, you know, there's no one in there breaking the chain. There's no standout sort of successful entrepreneur that's pivoted and changed the path of direction for the family. And Ed Milet's a really good guy I listen to a lot. He talks about this a lot. But there's always that one person that changes that. And I feel like if I was to, and through my 20s reflecting back on like, I want to, and probably in my late teens actually, is wanting to be that guy, like knowing that like that's my job. Like part of that drive is like I'm going to be the one that's going to change the direction for this family. I'm going to show what opportunities are available. I'm going to show that anyone can do it. It's like you said, but man, like people just won't put themselves through that hard shit for a duration of time because they want the instant gratification. They want your Lambo in the garage tomorrow. But they don't want to put in any work. It's just not how it works. You know, like how long did it take you to get that Lambo?
Realistically, nearly 15 years since when I bought my first property.
And what mindset were you in every day? War. You know, that's the difference. And that's why this podcast is called the Top 1%, because the other 99% of people realistically just won't do it.
It's so true, man. It's so true. And like that, like you said, dude, that time frame, that time investment in it as well. Like you've got to eat shit. And if you're not willing to do it, and this is the thing I think, man, like Actually, I'd love your opinion on this too, like around it being, actually, no, you said it before, around it being your passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something you actually love doing. Like, yes, now your driving force is your family, but the business is still your passion. Like you're passionate about it because you're fucking good at it.
Yes.
But like that's what keeps you driving that piece forward as well and not losing interest in it. Because 100%. I think it's a thing, man. You're financially free at 37. Massive business. You could sell a business or just let the business run, do whatever, and just purely do the family time. But at the end of the day, people like you and I, we're not driven just exactly. You'll be bored in a week, right? Or 2 weeks. So I mean, I think it's one of those things. It's sick that you have that passion, such strong passion to want to keep pushing it forward as well. And I can just relate to it so much because I love it, man. I absolutely love it. So
man, I reckon if you stuck me and you on a beach for more than 3 days, we'd go mad and kill each other. Like, okay, what business are we building? Like I was saying to my EA, Nicky,
mapping it out in the sand.
Yeah, mapping it out with a stick. All right, man, we're going to take over this tribe. We're going to do whatever. You know, I said to Nicky yesterday. We'll do that. But I said to Nicky, like, I was fucking around yesterday. I was bored and I was like, I need you to do an org chart. I've just started this new business. She's like, can you just fucking calm down? So like, I had 4 hours free and I literally just created this new business. So you just, and I think too, wherever the chip comes from, the drive comes, whatever. And look, if you're listening, you're tuning in because you want to tap into the hacks of the top 1%. It's like, if there's fuel there, use it. If there's drive there, use it, but have a plan around the fuel. Yeah. You know, and mate, if anyone's telling you like fucking, you know, do something outside of work, it's like, well, delete my number. You know, because at the end of the day, it's like, and that's the other thing too. You need people that are going to fan your flames. And what I love, like hanging out with people like you and Frank and Jack and all that, like you learn so much from being in the same parallels and in the same tracks and around the same energies, the people that share the same vision and thirst for life. And just because you've got, you know, like a drive for business doesn't mean that you love money and you're this narcissistic lunatic.
For sure.
People, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like we like the architecture of success. We like building the shit. Like the money and like the cars and shit is awesome because it's just a token. It's a reward. The big beautiful house, you fucking earned it. It's a reward. Like I do that when I go home. It's like I pull up some days, I just look at my house and I think, fuck, I'm just grateful, you know, but fuck, I ate some shit
to get it, to buy that thing.
You know what I mean? But I still like appreciate it every day. Like I sit there with my kids and I'm looking out at the pool and I just think, fuck yeah, you know, fuck yeah. And it feels good and that's okay. But I think too,
that's mad, right? I love that.
Yeah, and it's the truth, bro. And I think, look, yeah, it's for me. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like I get the joy not in the outcome, but I get the joy in building it. You know, that's like I said. If you stuck me and you on a beach, we'd be there with a stick and a business plan, and we come out of there with long hair and like this new business idea because we just are wired that way. We're constantly thinking. Yeah. And I think what's great too, like the way that the world is now with all this information, like we're in like an information and attention economy, right? Like there's just access to so much. And the access and the availability and scalability you've got to just do anything now, like you can even pivot out of what you're doing because like it's just, if you've got like the laws and principles of business are the same. So whether you're selling houses or bananas, it's just business. Doesn't matter.
100%.
You know? So, and I think that's the exciting thing. So I think if you are one of those people and you're listening and you're just not quite there and you're waiting for the perfect conditions, it's like the perfect conditions were yesterday.
Yeah.
Just fucking start.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot.
100%.
You know, you do that for a year, you're a year ahead.
It's funny you say that as well around the like business is just business, right? Because like my mentor, who I jumped through a few different blokes, like a heap of different people, sort of till I found the guy I'm with now. And man, we've been working together for 3 years. Comes from a completely different industry, like multiple different, like completely different industries, nothing to do with real estate. But yeah, man, we have very very similar energy where we think almost the same, and we'll almost know what he's going to say. I'll bring in problems, and then as I'm saying them to him, like fuck, here's the answer. It's coming. And then, because I'm thinking about it and bringing the right questions to him because I know I need to bring the right questions to get the right answers. But then, man, completely different industry and built like, multi 10-figure businesses. But then, it's just.
But they transfer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
man, exactly.
And you can take he'll just give you a framework and you just chuck your logo over it and it's useful, but it works, you know. It's exciting. I love it. And it's addictive. And I think too, it's like anything in life, man. Like you said, you enjoy it because you're good at it.
Yeah. It's
like when you enjoy sport. If you're on the kid on the soccer field and you can't keep up and you've got 2 left feet and you're tripping over your shoelaces, you're probably not having as much fun as the guy who's kicking a couple of goals. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So the better you get at shit, the more fun it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I think with business too, that's the addictive thing of why entrepreneurs just, they sell for 300 mil and they're like, okay, next. Because it's that architecture of success.
Yeah.
It's just, well, I'm good at it. It's just sport. And I think business at some point, and we're sort of getting to those levels where it's like it gamifies. It just becomes kind of a sport.
Yes.
It's just fun.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
You look at the big developers and they just look at acquisition, cost per box, well, I know I'm going to make that much. It's like a game of Monopoly for them. It's just fun.
Yeah, 100%.
Stressful, but it's fun. Yeah.
No, I love that, dude. On that point around mentor that I mentioned before as well, do you have any mentors
now
that were either now or back when you?
Nah.
So I
never had a mentor in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hectic.
On my kids. I've never had a mentor until probably like the last 18 months. I've tried to start to source out and but it's a lot of it to be like peer mentoring. Like I'd bring you, Sammy, like I'm thinking about this, bro. Is this dumb?
Yeah.
Like, and I guess too, having access, like I've kind of done it backwards and I've fucked up there a little bit. Like I've kind of done it backwards where I've got to this level of success where I could pick up the phone to you.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be a hard man to get a hold of, but I could it's like calling the president. They're like, hey, pick up the phone. Motherfucker. But I could call you and like you could probably solve the problem in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, is this smart or dumb? And you go dumb. Okay, done.
Yeah.
So it's like I think now because I know how to ask the right questions and I think that was a massive mistake. So for anyone listening, source them out. Like I don't know why I didn't do it, but it was a massive, massive mistake because it probably would have saved a lot of infrastructure problems, a lot of growth problems. But I just had naturally good acumen. I could figure it out.
Yeah.
Whereas I was just lucky. That's not through skill. I was just lucky to be able to pick it up. But also too, mentors are so good for your blind spots. And I think growing up, because my parents weren't that way inclined at all, I didn't have that relationship where there was no safe place for me to go and ask questions. And I think, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like success can be lonely. Being an entrepreneur
100%.
is lonely. And you sometimes you don't know who to ask or what to ask or whatever. So you kind of end up just swallowing it all. And you're the one that's sitting there on your laptop stressing about it. You're up till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out the problem. It's just a lot easier if you just call someone who's already been through the problem. Hey, and then you probably get a good night's sleep. So I probably put myself through unnecessary pain, but it calloused my mind. It really calloused my thinking in the way it sharpened my thinking because I fucking had to figure it out for myself. Like there was no safety boats. So I was like, okay, my options are A, B, C, or D. And then I just trusted my gut, took action. And I think the more that you take action, it shortens the time between thought and action. So every time a problem arises, you're like, next, whereas a big problem today was, a small problem today might have been a big problem a year ago, but you've already been there, face it, know how to overcome it. But now I think because, now I've sort of done this in reverse, Sam and I, we've gotten to this place where now I want to 10X it. I know who to put in front of me. Yeah. It's like, okay, now this is fun because now I can quickly get an answer. If I've got an idea, I can get an answer to it and then I can action it.
Yeah.
And that's how I know that I can then 10X my next plan because I just, again, same like you're the prime example. I could just ring you. Hey, dude, I want to do this and scale this. How would you structure that? Josh, I'll do it this way. Okay, done. Boom. Yeah. I'm off. 10 minutes. But then I apply the action, but I'm willing to do the work.
Interesting.
And that's my mentality. So I'd say for anybody listening is source them out, but also too, be careful how you're getting information from. Like it sounds like you went through a couple, landed with this guy who's a beast. But if you're trying to find a mentor, guys, like it's so easy to reach out to 10, 5 will get back to you. And most people that are successful want to help you. Like they really do. Like if someone since we launched it, we're going to go to ARIC. They're like, and the Both Sides podcast, like last week, it's like you get calls from agents in bloody Tamworth, in Sydney, and I've just started out, la 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 la, or whatever. So but I'll give you half an hour because I could probably give you enough information in half an hour. I'll probably just save you a whole year's worth of bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's almost like a duty to give back to people if you are successful, I reckon.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. Dude, I love the mindset that you have around that whole piece, dude. It's honestly, it's inspiring. Like, you don't hear that many people with that side of things, you know what I mean? I think it's, as you build that out, and exactly as you're saying there, you feel like you're sort of giving back. But even as you said, as you're sort of giving that information, so often actually is making you reflect on those pieces as well. So dude, it's cool. And one other thing on what you said there as well around like that mentor piece, only having it for the last 18 months. It's funny because like I'm in my 7th year of business now as well. Didn't have anyone for like the first 4 or 5 years. Right. And it's funny because I went through exactly the same thing, that callousing on the mind and figuring shit out. And I made some mistakes, man, that would have cost me significant money, right? But like, until you go through those mistakes, and sometimes you have to go through those mistakes yourself first. Totally. And again, as we were talking about before, nothing's a loss, it's just a lesson, but it 100%. Might just have a price tag on it.
It's got to learn.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you learn and you take that learning from it, it's just got a price tag on it in terms of a dollar value cost, but then it is what it is, man. You just got to move past it.
100%.
Learn the lesson and implement accordingly.
How do you find could you see your life without a mentor now? Like, do you get that much, like, do you get a lot of value out of that now? Because you're already really successful. And you're battle hardened. But are you finding there's a really good transfer of value coming from somebody at your stage in business?
There definitely still is. And the reason for it is the same as you. I'm still growing. I'm still expanding. I'm not resting on my laurels.
Yes.
So if I built and optimized, let's say a 30, 40 man team, and that was it, and I was like, nah, this is perfect. I'm sitting at X amount of profit. Maybe I just optimize within the business. I probably could just leave it at that. But then I'm still launching new things. I'm still implementing new things. I'm still tweaking things. We're still growing. We're still expanding. So all these different things, like for me now, like it definitely still makes a lot of sense. And I think so many people, they hyperfixate on what something costs, not what something makes them. And I think the correct person that you have in your team, man, like that mentor, I could like, I won't even throw the numbers, but like whatever I could pay him or would pay him or, should have paid him in the past. The dollar return I've got it's been an exponential return.
100%.
And how many years have I fast tracked what I would have done as well?
Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So man, for me, it's like, I don't see a point where I probably won't keep him and utilize him. He almost works exclusively for me now. So he's gone back to building other businesses now as well. He works just purely for me and one of the client, that's actually a client of mine in terms of from a mentoring perspective. And now he's back to building business because getting back within inside mine, he's like, fuck Sam, you've put the fire back in, you don't want to do it.
Yeah, you've lit him up.
Yeah, seriously, and he was out of the game for ages. Man, so he was doing all my stuff, getting in the business and getting fired up because we're such similar personalities. And then seeing success, and then he's like, man, and he started getting all these things popping off that he wants to start doing and getting into. So
that's sick.
It's exciting, man. It's cool. It's mad because like now I feel like I can sort of I'm almost sort of giving back a little to him in another way if he's pressure testing some things against me. So it's a really good reciprocal relationship. Dude, he's like a mate, like a very good mate now as well. So
and you get that's
cool.
something that evolves from that too, is that you're both helping each other. And now you're friends. So it's kind of like, and that's kind of, it becomes
the
like
ultimate, man.
It's the ultimate, and then it becomes like peer mentorship to a point,
for sure.
It's a really good point. That's a really good one for listeners, actually. I need a notepad too. I feel like I need to be taking some notes.
I know, I was writing some things down before, man. There's little things popping off in my mind, bro. I love it. Mate, we're almost out of time. I want to wrap up with a couple of key questions that I always like to finish these apps for. You said you only had the mentor come in very recently, but one question I always like to ask is, what is the best piece of advice you ever got from a coach or a mentor?
I'd say recently. Well, look, there's no dumb question, right? That's probably a main one. And I'm probably just paraphrasing what like a good mentor would say. But I think there's no bad question, but have a vision. And I think if I mentor a lot of people now. I'm in a fortunate position where I'm mentoring and coaching a lot of people. And what I say to them is have a vision, be crystal clear, see it in your mind's eye, have a plan, and I think it's all well and good to have intention, but you need to have a plan around that intention. It's all well and good that you want to create $100 million e-com business, sell shampoo and fucking whatever. Well, how are you going to do it? And if you don't know how to create that plan, you need to put the people in place around you to help you build that plan. And your advice just then to the listeners was so poignant and so clear and so true, is that and finding that synergy, you might not get that from one person. There's a lot of paid help, but there's a lot of paid noise, too. So I think, for the best advice I'd give to anybody is have a plan, find the people around you to help execute that plan, and just take fucking action now. Like, don't wait. It's no perfect time. If you're sitting there waiting for the perfect conditions to launch a business, have a kid, there's always going to be rainy days, and I reckon it's paralysis by analysis. What I see so much in guys that come to me, Josh, I've got this really good idea. It is a fucking good idea, man. That's great. What are you doing? Oh, well, I'm just waiting till I can save up another 5, and I'm just waiting for this, and I'm just waiting to go on this trip, and I'm just waiting. It's like, no worries. While you're just waiting, you're getting lapped.
100%.
Have a plan and just start.
Yeah. I love that. Man, final question for you.
Shoot.
What do you believe is the most consistent character trait of the top 1%?
It's drive. It's drive, baby. Yeah, it's just drive. It's a relentless, ridiculous pursuit for growth and drive. It's just drive. Yeah.
I love that, man. I love that.
Nice.
Josh Morrissey, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, brother. Mate, it's honestly, man, I'm G'd up, man. You know what I mean? It's there's only one other at the end of it. Jack Velocis was a beast, but when I walked out of the room with a meal, man, I was like, you know what I mean? You've heard that as well. It feels hectic. I love what we covered off today, man. So honestly, thank you so much for coming in, sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion, your wisdom, and everything you've been through as well, man. I've absolutely loved it.
Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you took some great value and got pepped up like I did out of today's episode. I'd say pumped up, not pepped up out of today's episode. If you did and you think someone else would take some massive value out of this episode, make sure you send it on to them. And until next week, guys, that's another Top 1% podcast.